Next up on the number one tee.
Well, hello, and welcome back to your virtual tea time. My name is Tori, and today it's just me. We are going to go over 7 factors to consider when joining a golf club. I thought about getting a guest to come on to help share this conversation, but it's the middle of summer. It's hard to get people in Phoenix right now. And I thought, you know what? I have belonged to 3 private clubs in the past, and I'm pretty confident that I can talk on this subject all on my own. So it is 4th of July, I guess pre-weekend. It's right before we get into the holiday week. And I'm thinking about some fun things to do in Phoenix. I'm going to stay in Phoenix for this time. And on my drive here, I was thinking, you know what? Pop Stroke just opened in Glendale, the Tiger Woods. I don't even know what you would call it, like miniature golf extravaganza. I don't know. I've never been there. I haven't heard much about it. So I might venture over there, see what it's all about over there. And then there's another place called Putting World that's in North Scottsdale that I haven't checked out either. So I might be checking out those facilities this holiday weekend, see what it's all about, and I'll report back. I might even venture over to Topgolf, believe it or not. Whether or not I throw in a pair of high heels in my purse to try and hit a golf ball in high heels, that might happen. It might happen. I don't know though. I can't make any promises. All right. So let's dive into it. 7 factors to consider when joining a golf club. I also want to share my personal experience at each of these clubs. I've joined 3 country clubs in the past. I am still a member of 2 of them. And I'll just kind of share what my experience has been and how they are 3 completely different clubs on how they function, how many golf courses they have, how casual they are. So I'll share that at the end too. All right. So first and foremost, the first factor to consider when joining a club is location. By far, location, location, location. I have been a member of a club where it was a 30+ minute drive to get there. And guess what? I wasn't there a lot. This is an investment. You need to find a spot that is close to home. I suggest within 15-minute drive there. Factor in the traffic to and from. This is an investment. You want to be able to easily go back and forth to the club whenever you want. And especially if you want to improve your golf game, who wants to go practice? Not many people, but if you are going to put yourself on a practice plan, you want it to be close. You want it to be easy to get to. First and foremost is location. Next, cost. So let's talk about what the procedure is like when you're joining a golf club or a country club. Usually there's an initiation fee. Depending on what your budget is, the initiation fee and the monthly cost might factor out some clubs right away. It might not even reach your budget in that, or it might be out of your budget just based on those factors. So things you want to ask about is what the initiation fee is, what's the monthly cost. Now, keep in mind, there are a lot of different membership types at these clubs. So there's full memberships, there are associate memberships, there's junior memberships, there's sports memberships. So all these different types of memberships are at different levels and how much access you get to the club based on these membership options. And obviously each option varies in cost. So when you call and ask about these things, most likely you're going to, when you're interested in joining a club, you're going to call, you're going to ask for the membership director, and you're going to most likely make an appointment to meet with them, get a tour of the facility, and that's when they'll go over all the costs. So you're going to want to ask what the membership types are and what the costs associated with those types are. Now, some extra costs that you want to keep in mind are sometimes a club will have food and beverage minimums. For my club I belong to now, I believe I have to spend $1,500 a year on food and beverage. If I don't make that minimum by, I think it's July 30th, then just take the remainder. So ask if there's a food and beverage minimum. Also, the assessment process. So anytime a club does updates to their golf course, to their clubhouse, any sort of big project, most likely they're going to charge the members an assessment, which is usually broken up into monthly payments, or maybe it's quarterly payments. This all gets voted on by the membership and approved. But, if you're interested in joining a club, a good question to ask is the club discussing any updates to the golf course or to the facilities that might incur a membership assessment? I can tell you right now that one of the clubs I belong to, they've been talking about redoing the golf course for years. Like, that is coming soon. And they updated this pool area not too long ago, and that was a monthly assessment. It could be charged different ways and different amounts based on your membership level. So if you're a full member, you're going to get the brunt of that assessment. You're going to be paying the most for those monthly assessments. But if you're a sports member, you won't be paying as much. Okay, so another question to ask the membership director when you meet with them. Now, some add-on fees that you might not be thinking about, but most likely you'll use, they'll kind of be surprises when you get your bill, is golf bag storage, range balls, cart fees, push cart fees, locker rentals. Those are all extra costs, most likely. I'd say range balls that would probably be an outlier. That might not be an extra cost, but golf bag storage, yes. Cart fees, yes. Push cart fees, yes. Locker rentals, yes. Those are all extra fees that if you want to use those items, they will charge you. A good question to ask about is, can you use your personal golf cart or personal push cart on the course? A lot of times, if you can use those things, there is, what do they call it? I think they call it, I'm drawing a blank. When they let you use your personal golf cart at the club, but there's like a fee associated with it. And usually it's like a yearly fee. Maybe I'll remember it. But a lot of times you're allowed to use your personal equipment, but maybe they charge you a yearly fee to do it. So I belong to one club where they say, yep, you can use your personal walking cart. That's fine, so that you won't get charged individually, but we're going to charge you $100 a year in order to use it. I keep wanting to say it's like a field fee, but that's not it. I know for sure that's not it, but it's something like that. Okay, so those are some costs. And maybe another cost you want to ask about is guest fees. Guest fees can also have different levels, whether it's just a guest on a holiday weekend, on a weekend, during the week. They'll have all different costs associated with guest fees as far as having guests on the golf course. There's also usually a special price for family guests. That's usually a lot less expensive. So those are some fees. If you know for sure you're going to be using the golf course a ton and you're going to want to host people, whether it's coworkers or family members or just friends and family, you'll want to know what those guest fees are. Okay, so that is the second factor to keep in mind. On to number 3, the golf course. Okay, you want to look at this golf course and say to yourself, can I play this golf course frequently without getting bored? Do you love this golf course enough to where you can play it multiple times a week, not get bored, you'll enjoy it? It seems like a crazy question, like, can I play a golf course every day without getting bored? But trust me, there are the courses I belong to, I could play all the time and enjoy them every single time and not get bored. A lot of clubs might allow you to go play before you join. So I suggest go playing it. Maybe you've already played it before, so you know about it. But make sure you're really asking yourself, like, do I want to make an investment in a golf club, in a golf course that I will not get bored? Okay. Another thing to ask about is the dress code. What's the dress code like? How strict is it? I'll tell you, some of these courses still out there have very strict dress codes. And not even just dress codes, maybe just code of conduct on the golf courses. Do they allow you to use your cell phone? I go to some courses and they will reprimand you even if you just have your cell phone out. Like they have special cell phone rooms that they throw you in if you want to use your cell phone. So like code of conduct, what are the things? Like it's not just dress code. It is more of an atmosphere conduct. So keep that in mind. How strict do you want that dress code to be? The 2 courses I belong to now one of them has a formal dress code. It's getting more and more lenient, I'll say, but yeah, no jeans. You need to have a collar. Men's shirts need to be tucked in. The skirt can't be too short. I've never seen someone get reprimanded for skirt length, but, they do have something in there. You can't wear tights or leggings while you're playing. I have seen ladies get in trouble for wearing leggings. But overall, it's more on the lenient side. And then I belong to another course that I play in the summer. They have no dress code. You want to wear jeans? Go for it. You want to play barefoot? Knock yourself out. So definitely see what the dress code is and if you're willing to abide by it, because there's nothing worse than the pro shop dude walking out to you as you're hitting balls on the range and discreetly asking you to go back into the pro shop and buy something so that you're meeting dress code. It is the worst. I've had it happen to me, I want to say 2 times for sure. Maybe there's a 3rd time out there. It's embarrassing. Even though you shouldn't be embarrassed, it's just embarrassing. Another thing to ask about the golf course is there a ladies' league? Is there a men's league? Are there 9-hole leagues? What kind of organized golf is there that you can participate in? So for the WGA, I feel like I can have a whole episode just about playing in ladies' leagues, being a part of the WGA, which if you don't know what WGA stands for, it's Women's Golf Association. A lot of clubs will refer to the ladies' league as the WGA. Okay, so I'm thinking I'll probably have another solo episode to just talk about women's golf leagues and how you can get involved and what the process is like and how you can chair events, how you can volunteer, best kind of procedures to go by when joining one. I could have a whole episode on that, because the one thing you want to do if you are new to a club is to get involved right away. Join the community. Be a part of it, embrace it as much as you can. Because the more friends that you meet by doing that, the more welcome and comfortable you'll feel at the club. Stay tuned. We'll probably have a whole WG episode coming up. Another thing to ask about the golf course. The golf course section is the longest. So I'm just about halfway through. Okay. Tee time reservation procedures. How do you make a tee time on the golf course? How difficult is it? Do they use an online system, or is it still calling in and making it? How far ahead of time can you make it? After COVID, the golf courses and golf clubs, everything blew up. So it's harder to get tee times nowadays. It's a little more difficult than it was prior to 2020. So how easy is it to make a tee time, and how easy is it to get as many tee times as you think you'll want? If you want to play on the golf course 3, 4, 5 times a week, is that even possible? How easy is that to make that happen? We already kind of went over guest restrictions and family members playing as far as guest fees are concerned. But what other kind of restrictions are there to having guests on the golf course or having family members on the golf courses? And I'm not talking immediate family members. I'm talking more like, parents or cousins or aunts and uncles. Like how difficult is it or what kind of restrictions are there for guests? Because again, if you're joining a club and you really see yourself inviting coworkers, or it's more of a business thing, how easy is it? Can you get guests on a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, the peak times? Would that be important to you if you couldn't? Is there any sort of limit number of rounds? Is there any round limitations per member? Now, this kind of goes back to the membership types. So a lot of restrictions as far as number of times you can play the golf course will come for those membership types that aren't a full membership. Okay, so if you're just an associate member or a sports member, and again, these names of the memberships might vary on which course you're trying to which club you're trying to join. These are just the names of the memberships from my own personal courses. So using them as an example, but those membership levels that are lower than a full membership, a lot of times they will have a max number of rounds that you can play on the golf course. And again, that limitation might vary on peak season versus off season. So keep that in mind. And that might be more of a conversation that you're having with the membership director as you're going over the membership types. Okay, another thing to think about is how often is the course shut down for tournaments and special events? Does it shut down for routine maintenance? What are off-season hours? So for example, in Arizona, we have a time period called overseed, which is usually sometime in October. It could last 2 weeks, as short as 2 weeks, and go all the way up to 4 weeks, where the course is completely closed for maintenance, and they overseed the entire course. So what's the time frame? You're asking what's the time frame that the course is completely closed. There's also a time, usually in late June and July, it's actually this time of year right now, where the course closes for aeration. Oh my God, hopefully I'm saying that right. Aeration. And sometimes they close it completely for a couple days to a week, or maybe they stay open during that process. Well, let me tell you, you don't want to play the course during that time. And that could range from a couple days to, 1 or 2 weeks. Okay, so ask about when the course is shut down for routine maintenance. And also look at a schedule from the past season on how many times, for instance, the men or women have tournaments that completely shut down the course for those events. The course I belong to in Phoenix, it closes down frequently for tournaments, whether it's men's or women's. Dude tournament in April sometimes closes the course down completely to women, to non-tournament players for 4 or 5 days, and that could happen multiple times a year. So ask them for like a schedule from the past season to see what kind of events are being played, because that's also important to you. If you want to play in these events, you want to see what kind of events they have to offer. And also keep in mind that a lot of times to enter into these tournaments and invitationals, you have to be a certain type of membership in order to get first dibs on signing up. And I don't know, again, this is a COVID thing, but man, those tournaments, invitationals, guest days, they sell out quickly now. It's not a, looking for players, the full membership is selling out these events. So even though the associate members or the sports members might have an opportunity to sign up for these events, they're not getting it because the other memberships are signing up for it. Whoever gets first opportunity is usually filling these events up. So that's something else to keep in mind when you're choosing what type of membership you're going to settle on. Okay, some random other ones to ask maybe is average pace of play. How long does it take to play the course? Is it 3 hours and 50 minutes or is it 4.5 hours? Is it a walkable course? Is walking the course important to you? It would be important to me. If I was joining a course, a lot of courses out here in Arizona, especially, walking is not an option because it's so long in between certain holes. It's such a long walk that even if you were to walk it, it would affect pace of play. So ask that for sure, if that's important to you. Is there member pricing in the pro shop? A lot of times these pro shops give you member pricing where there's discounts, whether it's 10, 20, 30% off the retail price. So that's nice. Usually you're paying for it in other ways, but that is a common thing for pro shops. And then if you have young kids or even teenagers, are there any restrictions on kids getting on the golf course? Okay, so a lot to do with the golf course, but for me, the golf course is most important. So that is something that I am taking very seriously when I am choosing a golf club to join. Okay, next up, practice facilities. Do you like the range? Is it a place that you can go to and enjoy hitting balls and practicing? Is there a chipping and putting area? We want to be able to have a short game area to practice. And maybe they have one, but do you like it? Do you see yourself spending time there? Are the areas large enough? Like, are you always going to be fighting for a spot on the range? Is it big enough to accommodate the full membership as far as full golf membership? Is there an indoor practice facility? This is becoming a lot more common. Not even just Arizona, because obviously we have a season in Arizona this summer that, you don't really want to be outside hitting balls. So a lot of places are building indoor facilities to go practice in. It's becoming common everywhere because it's, having the, hopefully I say this right, simulators. I feel like I'll by accident say stimulator. But the indoor simulators, they're fun. I mean, you can play different courses. It also has, the TrackMan capabilities. So it's, ask if there's an indoor facility. And then finally, ask about lesson options. Ask if there is women's clinics, if there are junior clinics, if there's beginner clinics. If you haven't heard of Op36, it's a fantastic beginner golf clinic opportunity. I mean, it's really for all levels, but I think they ideally made it for beginner golfers. Ask if they have an Op36 program. Ask if they have a PGA Junior League. That's a great way for young kids to get involved in playing against different clubs. How important is it to have lessons on a regular basis? How many pros do you have to choose from? That's something to keep in mind. So that number 3 was practice facility. Number 4 is just a general atmosphere. What's the age demographics like? What's the dress code for non-golf events? What's the dress code in the clubhouse? Ladies can wear a hat inside the clubhouse, I think all the time. I don't know. I've never been told to, and actually maybe I have been told to take off my hat or visor. Who knows? But is jeans allowed in the clubhouse? Are ripped jeans allowed in the clubhouse? I know every time I've worn ripped jeans, my sister's like, you cannot do that. It's like, who owns a pair of jeans nowadays that aren't ripped? I don't know. So, but what kind of dress codes are there inside of the clubhouse? How are the locker rooms? Are the locker rooms updated? I'll tell you what, if the locker rooms aren't updated, you can rest assured they're probably thinking about updating them soon. You can ask about that. Is it family friendly? How many special events do they have for kids, adults, couples? When we joined clubs, the clubs that I joined, that I'm a member of now, we've been there for quite some time. I still find it incredibly worth it. Again, it's an investment, but I find it incredibly worth it for me. But when my kids were young, I have 3 kids, and they're now 17, 15, 14. So they've kind of aged out of a lot of the activities. But when they were young, 3 years old and up, they used that club a ton. That's where they all learned how to swim. We would go there in the summer and hang out by the pool. Anytime there was time off of school, whether it was Christmas break, spring break, October, or, fall break, they would have camps for the kids. They would be there all the time. That's where they played junior golf clinics growing up. I get the question all the time, do your kids play golf? No. They don't. They grew up going to the club, playing in the junior golf clinics, and just none of them fell in love with it. And it is so hard to push golf on a kid with 0 patience. So unfortunately, they don't play golf as of now, but I have a feeling they'll come back. The kids, when they're younger, belonging to a golf club, country club, it's the best. We were at the club all the time when the kids were younger. So is one of the nice things you want to look at is the pool area. Is there a pool? Is there a spa? Is there a gym? Fitness classes? What kind of restrictions are there on these areas of the club, especially for the kids, but also for guests? Can all levels of the membership use the fitness area and the spa? Is there special spa pricing? So always keep that in mind. Okay, what number are we on here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, on to number 6, tennis and pickleball. Pickleball is going bananas. So what we experienced at our club was, we had 2, 4, 6, 8 tennis courts. Well, there was a time where we had to start converting some of those tennis courts into pickleball courts. And I think that that's still top of the list as far as discussion is that's discussions that are taking place, because pickleball is going bananas. So if tennis and pickleball are important to you, and even if you don't play them as of now, maybe you think to yourself, I think I might want to play tennis or pickleball eventually. We'll see how many courts there are. See how many courts are dedicated to tennis or dedicated to pickleball. Are there leagues? Are there events? Are there lessons? If you are a beginner in tennis or pickleball, are there opportunities there for you to learn how to play? How can you bring guests? What is the court reservation process like? Look into all those factors. Pickleball is a lot of freaking fun. So I played pickleball for a while, especially back in, I think probably 2018 to 2021. I was playing pickleball a ton. Unfortunately, there's only so much time in the day. And my goals with golf are just too big. They don't allow a lot of extracurricular activities after that. And I am so hyper competitive that when I was playing pickleball, well, it's like, okay, I got to get a lesson. I have to get lessons. I have to play a certain number of times a week. I don't want to take a break for that long. So it's like the level of intensity that I seem to not be able to avoid. I did not have the amount of time for that. So as of now, I'm not playing a lot of pickleball, or really not at all, but it is a lot of fun. So if you've never played it before, I highly suggest trying it out. Okay, so that was number 6. Our final thing is number 7, and that's the kids. Do you have kids that will be using the country club? If so, how old are they? What kind of events do they have for that age group? I kind of touched on this before, but is there junior golf? Is there junior tennis? Is there swim team? That's a common thing that a lot of these country clubs have, is swim team. And that's for all ages, all levels. So if you want to get your kid involved in swim, there's lots of opportunities there. Are there kids camps? I said it before, every single school vacation time, my kids were in the camps. I needed to get them out of the house. I know, you know what it's like. It's like, get out of here, go do something. And again, because I chose a club that I was so close to as far as location wise, it's easy to go drop them off at the club, go do the camp, and then swing by and pick them up. Like, it's no big deal. Going back to location, what if it is at 30 minutes away? Is it worth dropping the kids off for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, just to have to drive back and forth each time? It's another reason why location is so key. Is there on-site daycare? A lot of these clubs will have a daycare for super young kids, whether it's a newborn. Usually it's like a newborn up to 5 years old, up to when they're in school. A lot of times if they have a daycare there's a time limit. And I think that's because of insurance issues or whatnot. But at my club I belong to, there's a 4-hour limit. So you can just about get a full golf round in and utilize the childcare at the same time. What's the cost to the childcare? What other restrictions do you have? Will they feed them? I don't think I've utilized any of the childcare at the country clubs that I belong to, but when I belong to like big sports clubs, fitness clubs, I would utilize that daycare a ton. And again, if there's a gym, it's not necessarily you want to use the childcare to go play golf, but that's a great option, but maybe you just want to work out. And you want to make sure there's childcare there while you're working out or going to the spa or just going to meet girlfriends for lunch and to play cards. On-site daycare is a good question to ask. Are there age restrictions for the locker rooms? That is very common. A lot of locker rooms are 16 years old and up. Are there dining restrictions for children? Can they eat in the main clubhouse? Or is it preferred that they eat in other areas? If they can't eat in the clubhouse, is there a certain section for them? What's going on with kids being able to eat there? Do they have any restrictions or monitoring services as far as how much the kids can charge on the count? Oh my goodness. So not necessarily for my Phoenix club, but the club that I belong to over the summer in Pine Top, the kids can kind of go hog wild there. Like they're going back and forth to the club throughout the day. And this is even when they're older. They've been doing it since they've been 4, 5, 6 years old, but they're now, 14, 15, 17, and they're still going to that club on a daily basis, ordering lunch, ordering snacks. I'll tell you, my bill in the summer is it's like a novel that comes in. It's like so many pages because they are charging way too much. Oh my God, the conversations I have to have with the kids in the summer. Like, you can order 2 items at lunch and 1 snack throughout the day. That's it. It's like anytime that they get bored, they're ordering something at the snack bar. My kids were not only ordering stuff for themselves, they were ordering shit for their friends. Like, hello, Susie can buy her own lunch. We're not buying Susie's lunch today. Oh my goodness, it was out of control. Or there was a time too, like one of their friends had our number and was using our number. The amount of food costs that I incur over the summer is just nonstop. Are there kids menus? That's more important to when the kids are younger and they're still ordering off kids menus. So see if that's an option. Okay. So if you have little ones, seeing what kind of experience the juniors can have at the club is very important. So those are the 7 factors to consider when joining. And we'll go back: location, costs, golf course, practice facilities, just general atmosphere of the club, tennis and pickleball, and then the juniors and the kids. What kind of experience can they have there? All right, so there's a lot involved. And again, my experience at joining, I've belonged to 3 different clubs, and my overall experience at making the investment and belonging to these clubs has been 100% worth it. And even now, where the kids don't use it a ton, like when the kids were young and they used both clubs all the time, oh my God, it was so worth it. So worth it. But now, even as they're older and they're not using them as much, it's still worth it. I always have a place to go. I always have a place to go eat, go play, go practice, go socialize. It is so worth it to me. But trust me, it is. It is not cheap. It is an investment. It is a big budget line on our yearly expenses for sure. But me as a golfer, especially as a golfer that wants to improve their game, as someone that loves the game and wants to play on a regular basis, 100% worth it. And also, at least here in Arizona, greens fees are outrageous. They have gone up significantly. Whether you want to play just a public course or semi-private course or just, all levels of golf course conditions, because some courses are nicer than others, all the prices have gone up. So if I wanted to play twice a week and I didn't belong to a club, I would be spending more on those greens fees monthly than my monthly cost at my club, which again, at a golf club, you most likely can play golf and practice as much as you want based on the membership type you've chosen. Just keep that in mind if you are a golfer, keep in mind about how much you are spending on your greens fees. It might actually be less expensive to belong to a club. I mean, I know the initiation fee is a big chunk, and a lot of times they have certain options of how you can pay that initiation fee, whether it's in payments, or again, those discounted membership types. Maybe you join a club at an associate level membership, and then you can upgrade eventually. See what kind of upgrade options are there once you decide on a membership type. As far as my experience at the 3 different clubs I belong to, I've belonged to 3 completely different kinds of clubs. So the first time I joined a club, I believe I was about 26 years old, and it's where my parents belong. So if my parents hadn't belonged there, because this was kind of in the beginning stages of me golfing, if they hadn't belonged there, I would have done it. it was an easier process to join because I was a legacy member. And again, I was young, so I was able to choose a junior membership. So it was, junior memberships are typically less expensive because they want to bring young people. They want to continue to bring young members onto the membership. In order to do that, they usually have to have a discounted membership type. So I joined Oak Hill in Rochester, New York. I believe I was 25, 26, 27, somewhere in there. They have 2 courses there, and you can play whenever you want. You could, and this was back then. I don't know if the rules have changed, so just putting that out there. But I used to, again, I was beginner, but it was my beginner stages of playing golf, but I would show up at 6 a.m. No one was really there. It was just the maintenance guys out on the course, and I could just go play. They had 2 courses, and it was, the courses belong to the members, and you can go play whenever you want. Just go out and play. And there wasn't any tee times. A lot of these courses don't have tee times unless you want to make a reservation with a guest. But at Oak Hill, you just kind of show up, you go play. There was monthly fees, and there was an initiation fee on top of that. So there was lots of fees just to walk in the door, as my mom says. But that's where I joined 9-hole leagues. That was kind of in the beginning when I joined a 9-hole league, which they had a 9-hole league every Tuesday night and Wednesday mornings. And I would usually actually just play in the Tuesday night 9-hole league. And it was a lot of fun. And the women that played were all different ages, young moms to retired women, all the way up to, 70, 75, 80 years old. It was such a fun league. And they had a lot of fun events throughout the summer. Because again, in Rochester, you have a 5-month playing time. You have a summer season, and that's about it. And so once that weather broke, it was like party time up there. It was so fun. But that was the other thing is when I say I could play there whenever I want, let's say we had a little warm spell in the middle of January, February, which can happen there. We were able to go play golf for sure. So even though there really is just a summer season, the club was open all year round. And the golf course, if it was playable, you can go play. Then when we moved back to Arizona, I joined Arizona Country Club right away. That was kind of one of the stipulations I had with my husband when we moved back. I said, okay, I'll move back to Phoenix because we had lived there before. But I want, this is when I was golf bug, loved the game. I need to continue to play. And I was like, okay, I'll move back to Phoenix, but we need to join a club. And we did zero research. We were actually moving back into a house that we had as a rental. So we knew exactly where we were going to live as soon as we moved back. And so honestly, what we did is we searched country clubs in Phoenix, Scottsdale, and we had Phoenix Country Club, which was a couple miles away, and we had Arizona Country Club, which was just in our backyard. It was bizarre. It was bizarre how close it was. We had lived in that area before, and I never even knew Arizona Country Club was there. But now that it was top of mind, I was like, oh, go there. It's right around the corner. And this was at a time where they were, 2007, 2008. So, oh no, that wasn't the time. It was more like 2011. There were memberships to be had. They were looking for new members. So it was a fairly quick process to join. That's when I joined the WGA, the 18-hole league, and it was a total game changer. I wasn't working at the time, and again, the kids were using the club a lot, so that was really helpful. We were living in a house without a pool, so we were at the club pool all the time. But when I joined that 18-hole ladies league and met all the amazing women and really embraced it, I believe I joined the league in January. I was volunteering and chairing events by the following fall. It was like, where can I help? What can I do? I wanted to learn it all. And I think within 2 years, I was the vice president of the WGA and then finally the president, and I chaired all the events. I have touched all the service commitments that they offer. I've done everything. I wanted to learn it all. And by doing that, by engaging in embracing the league, I met so many women, and I really truly formed friendships with them just by putting myself out there. So again, if you join a club, whether you're a tennis player, well, I assume you're a golfer, but maybe you're a tennis player. I mean, that's another thing. I joined the tennis leagues too. So I grew up playing tennis. I hadn't played in a long time, but I was like, you know what? I'm new. I'll join the golf 18-hole league, and I'll join a tennis league too. And so I would play tennis. I think our leagues were on Thursdays, and we had clinic on Mondays. And then I was playing golf on Tuesdays. I mean, it was just, I laugh because it was so much fun. And for all you tennis players out there, I enjoy clinics a lot more than playing. Isn't that funny? I know there's some tennis players out there that totally agree. Like, there's nothing more fun than like cardio tennis or going to a group tennis clinic where there's like 4, 6, 8 women there and one instructor, and you're just banging balls. That is so much fun. I'd rather do that than play a match. It was so much fun. I played tennis for a couple years, and then same as pickleball, it was like, okay, there's not enough time to golf. There's not enough time to concentrate on my golf game. So I had to give that up. Anyways, so, but again, for Arizona Country Club, it is only one course. So I was going from a place where there was 2 courses where I could pretty much play whenever I want, down to one course where getting a tee time was just a little more difficult. And that course also doesn't want you walking on or playing a couple holes whenever you want. It was, you make it, if you want to play on a golf course, you make a tee time. That's the only option. I have tried to sneak out on the golf course many times. And in the summer, it is easier because there's not as many people. It's easier to get away with it. But there have been times where I've tried to sneak on the back 9 or even just sneak out to play 2 or 3 holes. And I've gotten yelled at. And when I say yelled at, I mean like a dude from the pro shop comes out and politely tells me to get the fuck off the course. So it was just different from the Oak Hill experience. So it was a little tougher to get on the course nowadays. Now after COVID, oh my God, it's so much harder to get on the golf course. Usually that 7-day or 10-day time period where you have to make a tee time. And if you don't make that tee time within the first 1, 2, 3 days of when you can on a certain day, it's filled. Anyway, I still love it there. And then finally, White Mountain Country Club, which is our course that we play in the summer. Is super casual. It is a little summer getaway. It's like adult camp. And I wanted to touch on this. It's a different payment structure there. So there was an initiation fee, but as far as there's no monthly fees at White Mountain, and you just pay a yearly fee, which is substantial, pretty substantial in January. And then any other costs that I'm paying monthly are just all the food costs from my children, but any like incidental. So tournament fees, things I buy at the pro shop, food, all of that. That's really what my monthly bill consists of. There's no monthly fee. So I just wanted to talk about that because that's also a different type of payment structure that you might see out there when you're looking at different clubs, but it's really laid back. There's no real dress code. Maybe there's a dress code for the clubhouse, but if there is, you see everything. You see people in sweatpants, you see people in blue jeans, mostly in golf clothes. There's no dress code at White Mountain on the golf course, but most people are still wearing golf clothes. But if you see people in jeans, it's totally normal there. There's just less rules. But again, with COVID and with all these golf clubs getting more members and being full with wait lists, there have been more rules put in place, but White Mountain is more of a club too, even though this is one of the rules I got via email recently where they don't want you just to go on the golf course and play a couple holes. You have to check in with the pro shop first. That was never the case years ago. You can just jump on that course whenever you want. That's why you see most of my TikTok videos and my Instagram videos. A lot of them are at White Mountain because it's so easy. I have a golf cart there and it's so easy to just pop on the course and start doing social media videos. Like literally, I'm like driving the golf cart out to usually the 5th or 6th hole. It's closest to my house. And I have my tripod. Sometimes I bring a child along to help me with the video. But yeah, it's a lot easier to do social media videos out there. So those are my experiences. Overall, they've been amazing experiences. You know, I've had a rotten egg there every once in a while as far as an experience that has been disappointing. It is definitely still a boys' club. It is a boys' club still. And so usually my poor experiences revolve around that, you know, just dudes being dumb, but who cares? You know, I've tried to fight the battle. And I mean, I'm there to fight it if anyone else wants to, but I have found that, you know, if things need to change, you know, you need to get the majority of membership to want to change it, or you're just banging your head against the wall. That is a whole nother podcast episode. I'm going too far. That's a whole nother podcast episode. I just want to summarize by saying, for me, it has been completely worth it. It still is completely worth it. I love the clubs I belong to. I use them a ton. I use them enough to where I never question the expense, the investment in them. A lot of joy to my life to be able to go somewhere and play with a bunch of women and practice and have good practice facilities and have a place to go have dinner if I want, or, you know, we eat breakfast there and lunch. Anyways, I'm going off on a tangent. You get my point. So let me know. Let me know if you are looking into joining a golf club, what your experience has been like. I'd love to hear about it. And yeah, with that, I will wrap things up. Again, a reminder, the Desert Classic, the 2024 Desert Classic is opening on Tuesday, August 8th. And we still have a couple spots left on our 2024 Scotland retreat. So I'll put links to those two events in the show notes so that you can check them out. It is first come, first serve for the Desert Classic, and the Scotland retreat only has 16 players that are allowed to register, and we're already over halfway full. So if that's something you have in mind, take a look at the itinerary. Let me know if you're interested. I'd love for you to join us. It's truly a magical trip. All right. Until next time, thanks for listening. Bye.